This week's show brought to you by SCAD, Scott Countyans Against Drugs. Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals News Graphic Football Coaches Show. We're into week 7 of the regular season. We are getting into the heart of the district schedule. We'll talk about the opening game of that stretch against the Lexington teams last week, and it was a good one for the Cardinals as they got back on the winning track with a 57-18 victory at Bryan Station on, you guessed it, a rainy Friday night. Just off and on rain. Delayed the start of the game because of more lightning, which we've seen, seems like every Friday night or Thursday night or whenever they try to play these games this year. Just a good night overall. Once it got going, though, for the Cardinals as they scored on 8 of their first 9 possessions and really should have scored on that 9th. Just missed hitting a long pass on that one that led to a punt, but they hit 2 other long passes on the night. Did Cade McKee, one for 57 yards to Glenn Covington and another 49 yards to Cade Mullins. Austin Barnett had a touchdown, Bronson Brown had 3 touchdowns, and Peyton Brown applied the exclamation point with 2 touchdowns in the second half. Bryan Station hung in there for a while. You got to give him credit. You got to give Jalen Burbridge, the quarterback, credit, as everything seems to go through him for the second week in a row. Scott County facing a college-ready spread type of athlete at quarterback who can do it all, run, pass, scramble around until he finds an open man, just extended drives all night long, it seemed like. And that's a frustrating thing for the defense early in the game, but Scott County buckled down, got some stops, forced a turnover in the second half, and really just got the boulder kind of rolling downhill, as it were. And a convincing win to put them at 5-1 and 1-0, as everybody stressed after the game, 1-0 in the district, going into this week's game against Henry Clay, which will be at home at Toyota Stadium Friday night at 7:30. Henry Clay, it's been a good series for Scott County since 2011. You can kind of see the line of demarcation between these two teams. From 2011 on, Scott County has been undefeated against Henry Clay, and none of the games really have been tremendously close. There was the playoff game in 2013, strangely enough, the state championship year, that Henry Clay actually threw the biggest scare into Scott County that year. And then last year's playoff was a 28-20 game in the fourth quarter until the Cards pulled away with 2 touchdowns late. But most of the games you see scores like 70-7, 59-0. It's been domination for the Cards. Before that, Henry Clay won 10 out of 14. So they were kind of the power, the team that Scott County had to kind of strive to be like in Lexington. But since about that turning point at the turn of the decade, it's been all Cardinals. This season, Henry Clay, 2-3, definitely has some athletes to worry about, in particular the Jacksons, Langston and Raymond. Those are the playmakers. They'll look to run the ball, throw the ball, get them in space, and make some big plays. And that 2-3 record is deceiving. I think Bryan Station's record was deceiving on some level, but if you look at Henry Clay's schedule, they've lost to 3 teams with a combined 14-1 record. Southwestern, Pulaski Southwestern, an undefeated team in 5A. They've lost to Johnson Central, which is a threat to go to the state game in 4A. They've played some tough teams and beat Lafayette handily last week, and that's a team that gave Scott County trouble early in the year. So that tells you something about where Henry Clay is in the pecking order. They're a team that's always going to give Scott County trouble. They're coached by a Scott County alum in Sam Simpson, member of that 75 state championship team. So a lot of connections there. 2 coaches that know each other very well, and that makes it tough to fool the other team. The element of surprise goes out the window, and it comes down to executing and making the plays. Scott County, their offense tends to be very good at that, in particular with the wing T. It's just hard for a team to stay disciplined against them for 4 quarters and stop that. So maybe the edge to Scott County, we'll find out on Friday night. As for now, we'll find out what Coach McKee has to say about that relationship with the Henry Clay program over the years and why maybe Scott County has been so dominant recently. And I'll look back at the Bryan Station game as well. Let's hear what Coach McKee had to say. The Scott County-Henry Clay rivalry has been a good one, although the Cards have dominated since 2011.
After further review, and I realize that you've reviewed it, but there's nothing like a good old school rivalry. And I know that you are now aware that you are the header on the Henry Clay Student Section Twitter account. Are you aware of that?
I am.
Yeah. So that's the game I'm focused on. Bryan Station's gone and in the books, and we're totally focused on getting fired up to play Henry Clay Friday night. it's been a long history of a lot of great games with them, and we're hoping for another one this week.
Henry Clay has enjoyed a consistent run of athletes over the years.
I don't know the exact numbers. I'll probably go back and write them out. I usually try to do that every year right before this game. But from 97 through 2009, they had the upper hand for sure. And you know, Shane Boyd played for him. I don't know if you know who Shane Boyd was or is. You know, he played in the NFL, was quarterback in Kentucky. He had a kid named Zia Combs. We once played him one night in 2005 when Salem Simpson, who's now their offensive coordinator, was their quarterback. And all 5 of their skill guys were Division I or 1AA. Clark Jeter went to Western. Chase Minifield, who's Frank Minifield's son, who played in the league, played at Virginia. Had Rod Johnson was their one back, had a big tight end that went to Michigan State. I can't remember his name, which I should. And Aaron Boyd, Shane's younger brother, was one of their wideouts. So, you know, they beat us so bad that night. They were hit 50-something to 20-some and onside kicked and got it and punched another one in. So, you know, they controlled the back and forth for the first 8 or 10 years for sure.
And even years where you guys
barely slipped by.
2013 in the playoffs.
Yeah, and last year they picked the ball up, Barnett's fumble up, and made it 28-20 with what to go.
10 minutes, 8 minutes.
Yeah, 8 or 10 minutes, and you're like, oh my gosh, we can't lose the second round. And that's really something that our kids need to do a better job of in games like this. I mean, obviously we're favored, and I need to do a better job of it as a coach. You know, I'll let my mind drift off to, are we going to win this game? If we get another touchdown, we got it in the bank. Well, really, we just need to worry about the next play and coach the next play and play the next play.
The Blue Devils are 2-3, but have played some tough opponents.
Yeah, they've played a good schedule, and really, you know, you're gonna play a good schedule. If you're a large school, you're a 6A school, and you're in Metro Lexington, you know, we're really struggling to get the 10th game for next year, even though the schools are going to split, and we're obviously not going to have as many players, and we're going to be in a lower classification. We still can't get a game. So it really becomes a lot of times there is no scheduling. There is no art to scheduling. There is no scheduling. It's just who can we get? And sometimes you'll see some odd matchups. You know, Pulaski Southwestern and Henry Clay, it doesn't like jump off as like a big route. I'm sure it was this situation where that's the only game Henry Clay could get.
Burke Watts and Spencer Robb are typical of the strong family connections in the Scott County program.
And you know, that's a neat thing. You don't want to get caught up too much on that, and not everybody is too fired up about nostalgia. But you know, I'm getting ready to watch Harrison County play there, and several of those kids played on their middle school team. I played with their dads, and you know, several kids on this team have had brothers play or cousins play or fathers play. And so, you know, it means a little bit more when big brother maybe did something and little brother hadn't, and you got to go home. And I'll never forget my 3 boys, Colby and Clay, never struck out in coach pitch baseball. I don't know what they had in Maine or if you've been there, but I mean, literally the coach pitches it in is where it got its name. And Cade made the huge mistake of striking out once in a game. And when he got home, they'd made a big K sign and put it on his door.
Scott County looks forward to a 7:30 p.m. Friday kickoff after some odd weather and schedule issues the past few weeks.
We got to wrap up. The kids are releasing, and just the most important thing is hopefully we'll have a great crowd Friday. Hopefully our kids will respect Henry Clay and we'll play hard.
All right, that was Coach McKee, and he's excited about the district schedule. Always happy to go 1-0. Always looks at these games as, you know, they're kind of miniature seasons. You know, every step you take gets you closer to what you want to be doing at the end of the year, as far as being at home, contending for those district, region, and state semifinal games that the Cardinals are so accustomed to being in. But to position yourself to make that run, you've got to get through these games. And there's another one next week that we'll be talking about, of course, with Frederick Douglass, and that game will be in Lexington. Going to be a lot of hype and a lot of talk about that game going into that one. But first, let's get through Henry Clay, and let's talk to some of the players about Henry Clay, see what they have to say about last week's start to the district campaign and this week's attempt to go 2-0. Coach McKee tried to fire up the players at practice by asking them about their favorite Henry Clay memories.
Last year, the regular season game, we played them there. I scored a touchdown on a punt block, so it's a great memory.
I've never really been a part of it in the past, but I'm excited to finally play them. I remember last year we played them in the cold. It was a pretty good game. I think it should be another good one this week.
Spencer Robb returned to football last season as a junior.
I took freshman and sophomore year off, and then I joined my junior year late because my brother told me I should play. I grew about probably 6 inches over that time, so I thought I should probably play some sports again, and then when I started playing again, it became fun, and I just keep doing it.
The Cardinals defense will be wary of Henry Clay's 2 Jacksons.
We got a couple fast people that can get to the edge, but we're going to contain them in the middle.
Scott County continues to make great progress as it strives for another district title.
We got to get better at pass coverage, but we're getting there. We've gotten a lot better since the beginning of the season, so it's exciting.
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. We still got a lot more work to do, but I like where we're at, but we just got to take one game at a time.